Boston is the largest city in Massachusetts and the state capital. More than 4 million people live in the greater Boston area. A little more than 600,000 live in the city itself. Boston is a center of finance, education, and music. And it is a major seaport. The city and nearby communities form the largest industrial center in the New England area of the northeastern United States. Boston occupies about 135 square kilometers along the Atlantic coast.
Boston is one of the oldest cities in the United States. The first people of Massachusetts were Native Americans. In 1630, a group of Christians, known as Puritans, arrived from England to escape religious oppression. Many Puritans came from the English city of Boston, so that is what they named their new home. Boston is also known as Beantown. Beans were an important trade crop for the city in colonial days.
American school children learn that Boston is the birthplace of the nation's freedom. Boston is where the war that separated the American colonies from Britain began in 1775. Today, lots of people learn about the city's part in the American Revolution by walking the Freedom Trail in Boston. This trail is almost 5 kilometers long. It takes people to 16 historic places. One of these is the Old North Church. Lights placed at the top of the church warned American colonists that the British would soon attack. Also along the walk is the area where British soldiers shot into a crowd and killed 5 colonists. The anger that followed helped fire the spirit that produced the American Revolution. From the Boston Freedom Trail, you can also see the first public school in the United States. Students first attended Boston Latin School in 1635.
The Boston area is full of colleges and universities. Harvard, in nearby Cambridge, was established in 1636. Harvard is the oldest institution of higher education in the United States. The Massachusetts Institute of Technology is also in Cambridge. The city of Boston is home to many top medical centers. The city is also known for its museums and libraries. The Boston Public Library opened in 1854 and soon opened the first space just for children. The children's room had more than 3,000 books. Marie Shedlock from France introduced the art of storytelling in the Boston Children's Room in 1902.
Music lovers have the Boston Symphony. There is also the Boston Pops Orchestra. It performs popular and semi-classical music in the spring and summer. John Williams is a famous American composer who conducted the Boston Pops for 13 years. In 2012, John Williams wrote music to celebrate the 100th anniversary of a very special place in Boston, Fenway Park, where the Boston Red Sox play baseball.
Downtown Boston contains a mix of tall, modern office buildings, old factories, and historic landmarks. Major building and improvement projects in the 1960s and 1970s gave the city some of its more current look. But the city also keeps its historic feel. Some narrow streets are still laid with red brick, and 18 hectares of downtown is the park called Boston Common. In the 1600s, Women accused of being witches were hanged on Boston Common. During the Revolutionary War, British soldiers camped there. The Public Garden is a historic botanical garden next to Boston Common. Many people like to ride the boats that look like swans on the lake in the Public Garden.
Boston has neighborhoods with names like Back Bay, North End, South Boston, and Roxbury. Many people of Italian ancestry live in North End. This area is along the waterfront. Ships brought large numbers of immigrants to Boston from southern and eastern Europe between 1880 and 1914. Many Italians arrived to start a new life in America.
The Irish population in Boston began to grow sharply in about 1845. Large numbers of people left Ireland when potato crop failures led to starvation. The traditional center of the Irish-American community in Boston is South Boston, or Southie. The children and grandchildren of the first Irish families in Boston became political leaders of the city. These included politicians like John Francis Fitzgerald. He was known as Honey Fitz. He served 2 terms as mayor. One of his grandsons became a senator from Massachusetts. Then, in 1960, that grandson was elected the 35th President of the United States. His name was John Fitzgerald Kennedy.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Hi, thank you for watching. I hope the videos are useful for you. Please subscribe to my channel using the button below.